A night at the Gulag, a night I will never forget. My dad and I were about to leave from the Communist Museum of History in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We were just getting ready to leave, but we got locked inside. Making matters worse, we had no access to the telephone. The workers had just left, thinking that there was no one inside. It was October 1962, and the president was close to getting us bombed by the Soviets. I saw a clock. It read 30 before 10, the time that the museum closes. I was very thirsty, so I asked my dad if I can get a quick drink of water, and he said, "Stay close and be quick." I left to get the water, and right then and there I heard a spooky noise that sounded like a creaking noise. I said, "Who's there?" but there was no reply. I quickly got my drink of water and then ran back to my dad. I told him about it. He said, "Kiddos, the floors are old. It must have been you." Still feeling scared, I asked my dad if we can walk around the museum and look at all the exhibits. He agreed, although he told me not to enter the dark areas or the back rooms of the museum. So we walked around, awed at all the exhibits that we saw along the way. There were large posters of propaganda that supported anti-American efforts, had luxurious claims of military size, and lies, tons of lies. When we entered one of the exhibits, the now very dimmed lights started to flicker. "Dad, I'm scared," I whispered to him, but he shot back, "It's fine, son, it's just the lights." I noticed a dark area in the back that looked covered up and forgotten. I'm sure they just assumed that no one would go back there because of the size of the small hole. It was really small. "Hey, Dad, can I go through that?" "Go through what?" "That." My shaking hand pointed to a small hole in the wall. "No, promise me never to go back there, okay?" "Yes, Dad." I was bummed, yet expectant. He was staring at a poster, and he reached for something in his pocket. It was a cigar. He lit it and put it in his mouth, and moved on. Just then, I had an urge for exploration. I asked my dad if I can go through that small hole in the wall, but he said no. I ran, but my dad turned around and yelled, "No, do not go in there. Son, I used to work here. I know what's in there." His voice began to fade as I dove underneath the wall. Inside was a dark room of calamity and dust, the many horrors of your imagination compressed into a living hell that you would not enjoy living in. Trinkets of many kinds decorated this would be an abandoned room. Suddenly, a light comes on in the next room. And there was a sound, something that sounded familiar, too familiar. It sounded too relaxing for me to find comfort, but the sound got louder and louder. It sounded like a whistle, a song that sounded like this. Following the sound, I came closer and closer, until I saw what looked like a suit moving by itself, sitting on an old chair. There was a ghostly head occupying the suit, and it was holding a pipe and reading the paper. Then it looked back at me and asked me,
"Огонь на подавление! Враг сзади по левому флангу!"
"Comrade or pig?" I was literally shocked to the core by what appeared to be a ghost of, I dare not describe him, the one and only Joseph Stalin. The single light then went off as it looked back, only to find that the Joseph Stalin ghost had disappeared. I quickly tried to find a way back out of the hole, but I was lost. There wasn't even a clue on how I would get out of here. Only just darkness was encasing me. But then I heard my dad's voice calling out of somewhere, yelling, "You like Ike? Ike likes you back." I started to repeat that to myself, and then I noticed I was retracing my steps on where I came from. There it was, the opening to freedom and life restored. I crawled underneath the opening and noticed that my dad wasn't anywhere here at all. But to my shock, the museum lights had shut off just as I made it out. Then Russian music started to play somewhere down the hall, and I heard the same exact tune that Mr. Stalin Ghost was humming. Except, it was an orchestra playing the tune. I looked down the hall to see that these instruments were not being played, but instead playing themselves. And there it was, Joseph Stalin's ghost once more, sitting in the air on an invisible throne. Stalin's ghost then noticed my presence again and yelled,
"Перезаряжают! Прикройте меня!"
"Right there, the pig." Suddenly there were soldiers coming out with any type of weapon you could imagine to stop my path. I started to run the other way, but the other exhibits started to come to life as well. Now running down the hallways, I tried to navigate my way down this labyrinth of a nightmare. But making matters worse, there was no trace of my dad. Did he get out of the museum, or was he just hiding somewhere because of these guys? Now they were on my trail, and my dad just caught up with me. I noticed him coming out of a closet as we reached the exit. But just as we got out of the exit, the paranormal exhibits were there, waiting for us, and prepared to corner us in. Stalin then said to us, as a monologue,
Огонь на подавление! Враг сзади по левому флангу!
"Any last words, pigs?" Then the sun started to rise, and the ghost started acting strange and funny. The Soviet anthem was starting to play, yet at a much more distorted sounding way. One by one, these ghosts started to disappear, while Stalin yelled at us, "The working class shall rise once more, father and son." Now that they were out of the way, an employee opened the door and noticed us inside. "Well, what did you two learn during your night at the Gulag?"
Враг сзади по левому флангу!
Школа колбасы, веселее, пацаны. Раз, это хардас, все спортивка хайтидас. И на найке пацаны, слушай, будь рад, из спины наши злейшие враги. На площадках мы поквас, а зажгем для вас хардбас.